Oh my god, little werewolf puppies. Okay, I know there are some Kelpie Rider fans in the audience. There has to be. It's such a good show. And if you haven't seen Kelpie Rider, you've got to go see Kelpie Rider because, oh my god, the season finale. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick and somewhat unhinged season 1 recap because I have so many feelings and I just have to get them all out. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we set the scene in the town of Swamp Gorge or Swampy Gorge. It's one of the two. Honestly, I didn't pay attention. And there's a bunch of mysterious drownings everywhere, and everyone's like, oh no, we're too afraid to walk the streets alone. And the mayor's like, I've got to get a handle on this panic or else we'll end up with nightmares, or worse, they're riders. And of course, we all know with the who rides the nightmares. So I'm like, ooh, is this the big bad for the season? I'm down for this, although I'm very interested in how the producers got away with this. Because, you reference them obliquely or you call them down upon you. Anyway, so finally it's revealed all the drownings are because a Kelpie has moved into the swamp that Swamp Gorge is built upon. Side note, building a city on top of a swamp that is still a swamp is an ecologically terrible idea. Like, Chicago drained the swamp, filled it in with concrete, and that's why Chicago is like that. But the word Chicago means land of stinky waters. It was a swamp. So, like, building a town on top of a swamp. I have so many ecological questions, but this show doesn't address them. I don't know. Maybe it will in season 2. Anyway, Hannity, the only person in town with any kind of common sense, convinces the mayor to send for his cousin, the Kelpie Rider. And that's when you realize, oh, this is like a campy Wild Wild West kind of show, but set in a swamp. Boom! A clap of thunder peals as the Kelpie hits the water and someone's drowning again, and the mayor goes, okay, anything to stop the Kelpie. So the Kelpie Rider comes to town. Naturally, he's played by a crazy handsome actor whose name I genuinely don't remember because I never bothered to look it up, because why should I care about the actor when I can obsess over the character, right? Okay, so they play it all up like, ooh, he's gonna go out there and tame the Kelpie and all our lives will go back to normal. Which obviously isn't going to happen, otherwise the show would be over in an episode and it wouldn't be called The Kelpie Rider. Although, I don't know, maybe they'd could do it in a movie, whatever. So the Kelpie Rider confronts the Kelpie, who is in the shape of this gray horse right now, which, side note, they got some incredibly beautiful horses to play the Kelpie this season, because, they're not going to get a real Kelpie. That's just asking for trouble. They got this first one, I think was a Frisian? Absolutely gorgeous. A whole generation of horse girls was born from this series. Though, given the nature of Kelpies, that's maybe not a good thing. And the Kelpie's displaying this injured leg to try and get sympathy. Or so we think. We'll come back to that later. Kelpie Rider falls for it, and he goes to help the Kelpie, and is flung onto the Kelpie's back, and is dragged into the water, and the whole town goes, oh no. But Hannity, who knows his cousin's like, hold up, let him cook. Meanwhile, a bunch of woodland animals pop out of the woods and start dancing around singing this song. Ooh, beware, beware the Kelpie's lair. But it's all in a minor key, so we're all really creeped out by it. Then the next morning, the Kelpie Rider returns, and he says to the mayor, this is more complicated than it looks. But don't worry, I swear to you, I will defeat this beast. I will save this town. I will ride that Kelpie to the grave. Wink. And everyone gives a big cheer. Fade to black. Super inspiring, right? Wrong. Because right before the credits roll, we see the Kelpie Rider has his own dark secret. It's not what you think it is. So later, this beautiful woman named Mara comes to town, all femme fatale style. And the first person she meets is Hannity, who is immediately taken with her and her exquisite beauty. And this is where we learn that Hannity, and by extension his cousin Kelpie Rider, are dryads. Because Hannity's like, oh, you can come and stay with me in my home while you figure out what you need to do with yourself, you poor, poor lost woman. And, you know, at first I was like, oh no, Hannity, don't be a creep. I like you. It's fine. He's fine. But we get to his house and, like, everything is made of wood and everything is, basically, it's a giant tree house. I don't know how accurate this is to, like, what a dryad house looks like, because the only dryads that I've known live in trees. They don't have actual houses. So, you know, this is what happens when you don't have supernatural writers on the writer staff. Meanwhile, Sheriff McGackerty, is suspicious of the woman because she claims to be human, but she doesn't smell quite right. McGackerty's a werewolf. And I was like, yes, we love to see representation. Hannity introduces Mara to Kelpie Rider, and there's like this instant connection, like this just chemistry between them. It's crazy. It's like setting a meth lab on fire. And they're both fighting it. They're both like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And Hannity picks up on it, but he pretends not to because he really, really wants Mara to notice him and not his cousin. And, you know, as someone who has very impressive siblings and very, very impressive cousins, I get it. It sets up what I feel was a really dumb love triangle arc for season 1. Which, comment in the comments if you enjoyed the love triangle. But I kind of hate love triangles in general, so, you know, maybe that's just me. The whole situation could be fixed with polyamory, right there. On the other hand, I don't know if you want to get into a polytriad with 2 people who are related. That's fair. Anyway, it was actually narratively relevant because, like, Mara's all sweet and with Hannity, but the looks that were thrown between her and Kelpie Rider were tension building. And Hannity, look, they could have been so cute together if the writers had just let them be happy. Why must they put my guys in situations? But no, he willfully blinds himself to the fact that this woman is having steamy moments with his cousin. Because hey, no line was officially crossed. Although now that I've seen the season finale, I have metatextual analyses going on in my head about all of it. Kelpie Rider seems to dislike Mara, but he can't, for some reason, fully distance himself. Ooh! And every night, he goes out into the swamp to hunt the Kelpie that's drowning people. Kelpie Rider is doing this and trying to get Hannity to realize that Mara is just using him for a place to stay. And for someone to make her look like she belongs. Meanwhile, Mara has been to visit Dr. Sean McIntyre because she took a tumble at the Harvest Festival and got a nasty gash on her leg. What a funny coincidence! Since the Kelpie Rider told Dr. Sean McIntyre over drinks, the Kelpie also has a nasty gash on its leg. Weird! Leg gashes must be going around! Ha 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 ha. Dr. Sean McIntyre, I have some concerns. Some questions. I feel like you should have been more observant about this. Whatever. That night, the Kelpie Rider goes out into the swamp and finds the Kelpie and leaps onto its back, and before the Kelpie can react, he takes it and he rides it down the road and he rides it up the road and back and forth until the Kelpie gets tired out and is like, oh no, I need to escape, and tries to escape him in the water. Side note, this is not how you deal with Kelpies at all, and I feel like there should have been a little more backlash about this because some people are going to go, oh, that's how you deal with a Kelpie, and people are going to die. So, disclaimer, the horses used to represent the Kelpie when it is in horse form were real horses. They were real horses. This one was a black Andalusian, and it was gorgeous. Oh my god, I would give anything to have a mane of hair like that. The Kelpie takes the Kelpie Rider down into the water, but it's too tired to drown him now, and so it just ends up taking him back to his lair, where we learn that Kelpie's being controlled! The gash on her leg was from an evil wizard who's been trying to use her to eradicate Swamp Gorge so he can build his evil tower there, because Swamp Gorge was built on the cross point of 7 ley lines, making it the perfect place for his magical evil ends. So armed with this knowledge, the Kelpie Rider goes back to Hannity and Mara and tells them both everything. And Hannity's like, oh my gods, it makes so much sense. Everything in this town is always perfect, and for a town built on a swamp, that should not work. That night, Mara comes to the Kelpie Rider, and they finally give in to their dark passions. She asks afterward how he could survive a Kelpie drowning night after night, and he realizes that the sex was just to butter him up to get information out of him. So he kicks her out, and they resolve not to tell Hannity about their tryst because it would break his heart and shake his trust in his cousin. If you didn't want to break his trust, don't sleep with his girlfriend. It's not hard. It's not hard to not sleep with your cousin's girlfriend. I do it all the time. And by that, I mean, I don't sleep with my cousin's girlfriend. Not that I have cousins who have girlfriends. I have cousins. I just mean, like, if they had girlfriends, I would not sleep with them. It wouldn't be a struggle. It would be a very easy thing not to do. Sheriff McGackerty's been sniffing around because he too wants to know why the Kelpie Rider is still alive. Something just isn't sitting quite right. And that's how he discovers the affair, because Kelpie Rider smells like, oh, he knows this scent. As a werewolf, he 100% would have been able to tell whose scent that was. Total 100% scent recall. Just goes to show there's no werewolf on the Rider's staff. And Kelpie Rider just shrugs him off, going, you just smell the Kelpie on me. For obvious reasons. I mean, I'm the reason nobody's drowned in months. And it's this, like, tension between the Kelpie Rider Dryad? Kelpie Rider the Dryad? And Sheriff McGackerty the werewolf. But Sheriff McGackerty pieces together, wait, no, that was Mara's scent. And if Mara smells like the Kelpie, he has some research to do. And he rushes off to the library. I love that they sent him to the library for this. Libraries need more representation in media. Like, they are so important for the social ecosystem, and they provide so many essential services beyond the lending of books. And they're criminally understaffed and underfunded. If you don't have a library card, go to your local library and get a library card, even if you're never going to use it, because the more data they have that says, yes, people are using this service, the more funding they can get. And for people who really need that. Anyway, back to the show. The town has all decided they're going to work together to get rid of the evil wizard. But to do that, they have to free the Kelpie. Kelpie Rider is nervous about this because he doesn't give a reasonable answer. At least, I did not find any of those answers reasonable. Comment in the comments if you thought the answers were reasonable, and tell me which answer you thought was the most logical. Yeah, that's a perfectly reasonable reason not to free the Kelpie from the evil wizard. Because we're gonna have words. So things between Mara and Hannity are going really well. They're going so well, in fact, that he calls his mom to tell her about the new girl in his life. And while they're talking, he says, you know, it's been really weird having the Kelpie Rider around because he's so awesome and it's kind of making me feel a little lackluster that I, as a dryad, can't do what he, as a dryad, can do. And his mother reveals, oh, Hannity, the Kelpie Rider ain't no dryad. He was adopted before you was ever born. It's a surprise secret that'll be revealed later. But Hannity's not the only one learning secrets. Mara gets a call from Dr. Sean McIntyre saying, congratulations, you're pregnant. You and Hannity must be so thrilled. Except that she hasn't slept with Hannity yet. But you know who she has slept with? The Kelpie Rider. Hannity's just been a meal ticket for her. Hannity deserved so much better. But furthermore, how can she be pregnant? Dryads shouldn't be compatible with ... And suddenly, Mara knows the Kelpie Rider's deep dark secret. Because it turns out it is Mara's secret as well! So we get to the season finale where all the big confrontations happen. The mayor's just called a town meeting for everyone to get together and discuss measures against the evil wizard. And the Kelpie Rider's just laid down his plan, and the sheriff bursts in and says, or is that what you want us to think? He's got Mara by the hair! Hannity and the Kelpie Rider leap up to save her, but then Sheriff McGackerty reveals to everyone that in fact, Mara was the Kelpie all along! The town is shooketh. I was shooketh. Actually, no, I wasn't. The foreshadowing was very well laid. It was more of a, why am I gasping? I already knew that kind of situation. Mara? That sweet but kind of lost woman Mara? Turns out she faked the tumble at the Harvest Festival so that she would have an excuse to go see Dr. Sean McIntyre to get her leg looked at because she couldn't get it looked at as a Kelpie. She had been using Hannity. And oh my God, guys, the way his face fell, I was sobbing. I was a mess. And she even seduced the Kelpie Rider to further her own endgame. Or did she seduce him? Was this the plan all along? How did he survive those drownings night after night, unless he was never in any danger at all? All eyes turned to the Kelpie Rider. Hannity's even more heartbroken, and you can see the rage growing within him. The Dryad Rage! All the wood in the room is starting to sprout tiny branches, and there's grass growing on the floor, and the music is scoring scorily. And little werewolf puppies, when I tell you the hairs on my arm were fully erect. And then Hannity chokes out, because he's no dryad. He lied about that too. And the mayor goes, "Legasp, Hannity, what do you mean?" Hannity says, "Tell them, or I will." Side note, even if you are mad at someone, it's not cool to out them. Even if you are mad at someone and it looks like they might be betraying the entire town, it's still not cool to out them. And then the Kelpie Rider reveals he himself is a Kelpie. Pandemonium! And that's where they left us! Oh my fucking gods! That's where they left us! I have to wait a whole year to find out what happens next. I'm gonna die from the anticipation. I need to know. And this wasn't like some HBO series where you can just go to a bookstore and find out what happens next before the next season comes out. No, they made this up from scratch. And sometimes you can tell that there was no forethought that went into some of it. If any of you are Kelpie Rider fans, please drop your theories in the comments. I need to discuss this with someone besides roommate. I have so many thoughts. I straight up don't care about the baby storyline. They're gonna have to do something wild to make me care about the baby storyline. But all the side characters, like Tommy the Barfly, who's always flirting with Jake the Chloricon behind the bar, and I'm just like, no, please give me more of them. I wanna know so much more about them. And Helen the Swamp Witch. I would watch 10 seasons of Helen the Swamp Witch just being like, I give the best advice, and also I will fuck you up if you cross me. And is it just me, or do Sasha, Kevin, and Miles give off really strong secret elf vibes? I don't even know what I mean by secret elf, but like, if you've seen the show, you know. Like, if the Kelpie Rider can be revealed to be a Kelpie, maybe it'll be revealed they were wearing fake human ears the whole time, and they were actually elves and they're thousands of years old. I feel like I'm going insane. It was so good. I need to scream. I need to go into the woods and scream at the moon. I'm feeling, my emotions. I need to make an evil wizard cosplay because that was the most baller outfit I've ever seen in my life. Oh my God. Fuck, I hope we get a name for him in season 2. Like, is it just me, or did they take some strong inspiration from 80s van airbrush wizards? Because, costume department on point. Okay, that's clearly enough of this video blog. Bye-bye, little werewolf puppies. We have to have a movie night sometime.